Hello again. Let's continue from where we left off. Last time we had this listing of directories and files. Let's just see if it still builds. It does, and it lists the files and directories in the current folder, and it reads out the contents of the file test text. So that worked. What we talked about last time to do this time was to actually handle all the possible errors. So we have a lot of tries in here, and all these tries sorry, feels like it's just doing the try catch and just throws it to the main function and we just break out. But it would be nice if we could somehow handle the errors a little bit more correct, smoothly, call it whatever you want. But I can also see that it's gonna have some, what you call it, catch-22, where it's kind of, we're trying to catch an error when we allocate the memory. But if we want to write out something to this to the console, and that produces an error, then how should we inform the user of that error without just throwing it? So at some point we just have to accept that if this fails, it just fails. But it's just to train how to use error handling, because we can do these while loops where we also handle errors as well. But it depends on what this returns, because if it returns an error or an entry, and see here we actually have an error or an optional, and that already is kind of weird, because I thought that it would handle, in this it would handle an optional by saying if it's null, it's not true, stop the while loop. But here we are handling the error instead. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I can see it right here that the way we handle the optional is to check if the entry contains something. But that's kind of weird, because this if here is actually the same check it does here. These two are equivalent in my brain, because you do a check on this one is just caught by this one called entry, and then we do the same thing, we check if entry. Again, things are handled different even though it's kind of the same, so kind of weird. But yeah, let's take a look at some of the loops, not the loops, the errors. This one, if we can't allocate, so instead of doing a try, we can do an if buffer equals, is that possible? Error dot out of memory. Yeah, because now we can see that it's either an error out of memory or the array itself. So we should be able to check if this is an error. How do we check if it's one or the other? Can we check if buffer equals type of buffer equals the error out of memory. And what should we do if we get there? Because we can't actually... Can we? We have this debug... What was it? Debug log print. Yeah. Error allocating memory. I'm just gonna give it this empty, right? But how's that defined? We can't find that one. No. Let's see. If this can return an error, then that error must be defined somewhere. Errors. Error? That's how it's defined. Oh. Can we just do that check then? Can we do this instead? Let's see if it builds. It does not. Sorry for hitting the microphone. I know it's a bit sensitive. Oh, it's that type off or something. Type. The function is the inverse of type info. It relies on type off. Function that takes any non-zero member of an expression as parameter and returns the type of the result. So I think it's this one, right? No. Expected U8 found error out of right out that buffer. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Of course I need to return some return value. We can just define our own return types. Apparently we can't. Parameter declaration here. File standard outright buffer. But we are doing the check here to see if this is an error. And we do something and it returns. Does everything else have to be in the else? If so, I'm really going to hate that. What am I missing here? As always, it's a learning process. I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know. So this will be uphill. Let's think about this. What is it saying? It expects this array of U8s, but it found the error out of memory. No, it did. It found the combination of the two. So the try here we had before, it either exits the main function or it returns the array itself. Right now we're just testing to see, okay, if this worked, then skip this, but it still contains the error out of memory combined. I guess that's just a kind of way to say or this or this. So now we have to find a way to have this converted to the right value. So how do we take the U8? Are we just gonna cast it as? Because now we're sure that this is actually a U8. Oh. Array of U8s. Can we do this? No, that's not allowed either. Cannot convert error union to payload. Consider using try catch or if. I did use an if, but I just want to convert this. Oh man. Again, this should just be so easy. And it probably is. If you know what you're doing, it's probably very easy. So let's ask the manual. Error handling, errors. Allocation error or U16. Expected type of U16. But this is compile time, so it actually knows. Isn't there anywhere it uses just the if? There is not. What about this one? I'm trying to catch this out of memory error, and I do make the check, and that kind of works. But when I get to using the buffer now, before I used the try, and it just returned out of the main memory, main function. But if it did allocate it, now the type was an array of U8s. But now I do the check here, it keeps being an error out of memory or a array of U8s. So now we have the combined type and not just the array of U8. So I'm trying to get the U8 buffer that is allocated to use it directly, but it's not working. Also, I would find this ugly as well, so I can just remove this again. And as you can see, if we just do the thing we did before, try and remove these three, everything works fine because now it just throws that error. But if it works, it just returns the array of U8s. So that's what I'm trying to do. I want to catch the error so I can learn how to handle errors. And this seems to be the way to check if it's of the type of error out of memory. And then I just wanted to print out the error and return nicely. But then we have the wrong type here. So we can't just use it out of the box. So if you have any inputs, please, as you can What? Why did it build now? Didn't I save? I didn't save. Remember to save in VS Code. I'm used to the IDEs from JetBrains, IntelliJ, and Rider, and so forth. So every time you build, it automatically saves. And VS Code doesn't, so it has tricked me a few times. So as you can see here, when we get to this, where we need the rider, we need the buffer for the rider, it's expecting the array of U8s, but it actually gets this full because we didn't differentiate between these two. Yeah, sadly. So yeah, have to figure that one out. Because maybe I would hate if it had to be this way. I really would. Yeah, that didn't work either. So instead of using an if, use try catch instead. And we can do this, catch this. Something like this. Yeah, I know I'm not using the error right now. We can just ignore that one. Right? Can we just ignore it completely? No try? Okay. Just like that. Sicklings. Yeah, that's the one with all the tests and exercises, right? Oh, it's moved to Codebergs. Yeah, I get why. Let's see what sicklings, if it want to load. It did. Exercises. I think you're this one. Add 5, catch 0. Yeah, but that's just default values, right? Or can you just run some code there? Sig has a handle for handy try. Shortcut is this common error handling pattern. Can fail, catch error, return error, which can be more completely written as try, can fail. Did that make sense to my brain? Yeah, so that is what we are doing here, right? No? Oh, okay. I haven't been through those sicklings test exercises. Maybe that would be a good idea. Use catch to replace an error with a default value. Yeah, but I don't want a default value. I want to run some code. Yeah, but we can always, yeah, catch the error and do some checks on it. Do we need to check for all the possible errors if we do that? What is it complaining about right now? Oh, come on. So because I'm starting to handle the errors the kind of more right way, and thank you for the help. Much appreciated. So now I'm returning 1, but it actually needs to be either void. Oh, void. Damn, I'm so blind. Can we just do either an error or U8? And I did save. Why doesn't it want to do that one? Implicit returns, public main function U8. Do we have any returns that is just a return? Hey, thank you so much for the help. So if we use catch, it knows that if everything goes well, it should return what's actually the right type. And the error we have here. And now that works. Can we ask for something that's not possible? That might be a little bit too much, but it built. Yeah, error allocating memory, exactly the behavior we were looking for. So that is perfect. Thank you. But we should also be able to catch the error. And we can do a type of this. And we can do a type name of that type, which should be a U8. I know that it's now going to say out of memory, out of memory. And that's just a string. Yes, and if we do this again. Oh, that was, holy moly. Save, remember to save. Yeah, and we get the name of the error as error out of memory. So everything now works as expected. And I will take a look at the site with the SIG links. This is quite nice, small exercises to find out what's going on. We are gonna go back to this one and just gonna save that one. Thank you. Then maybe we should just do it like this. It's just in all other languages I've ever coded in, you never have a catch without a try. It's always a try, catch, finish block, or just try, catch block. So that is good to know. So it's kind of, it can be used for default values and error handling. I like that. So we have our writer, and we have our open directory options. And here we again try. I don't know what error possibilities there are. There are multiple. Yeah, I guess so. The path doesn't exist or you don't have access. There's probably a lot of different errors to handle here. But instead of doing the try, we're doing a catch. And let's take the error as well, include that one. And then I think we're just gonna reuse this one. And we're just gonna mess it up. Whoa. So are we not getting the specific error when it fails? Are we just getting all possible errors, or are these all the errors? Antivirus interference. Okay, never seen that one before. Device busy, yes. File busy, no, it doesn't exist. Huh. Let's take a look and see if we can find out which errors there are actually in there. Yeah, I'm just digging around in there. It gives you the union of all the possible errors. Okay, so it doesn't give me the specific error that actually happens. But I thought that that was actually what this did. So we could see what happens. Or do I need to switch on it to be able to do that? Because it should tell me exactly what's wrong, right? Can we, isn't that how we switch? Again, it's a learning experience. I can't remember it all. How switches are done in this. I'm pretty sure I did some switching on errors in one of the tests that we found in this guide. Yeah, here we have a union of these 3 different errors. Try just using dot curly brackets error instead of the type of. Oh, thank you. Yes, of course, I'm looking at the entire type. But I think I tried that before, but it won't write out because that's not a string, right? But I might be wrong. But yeah, let's try. Oh, without the dot, or yeah, I'm just gonna try this and see what it says. Yeah, that's not possible. But sorry, FMT. I'm new to streaming and the language used in the chat, so I will be stupid. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that what I'm doing? Oh, no, oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. These also, it's kind of weird syntax using these. No, it won't accept that. Why won't it? Unhandled errors. Oh, damn. Ah, okay. Sorry. um, file not found. Again, thank you so much. It would have taken me way too long to figure that one out. And I have tried this before, and I've tried with all kinds of, yeah, types. I don't even know what I want to call this. I tried strings and numbers and yeah, everything that was listed in here in the language. Here, I tried almost all of these and none of them worked. And now you just said, oh, just omit anything in these curly brackets and it works. Yeah, thank you. Again, I was sure it had to be a string or a U8 array. But that's perfect, thank you. So we can just get this. And that's there. In here, there's details that I still don't get fully. So this dot curly brackets, that was not really a slice. It was an anonymous array, a struct, or yeah, I'll get it in time. Still, I'm at a really beginner level here. But yeah, that moves everything along. You can use S because there isn't necessarily a string. You can't use S. Yeah, you're right. That's why I think I just converted the type. But you're right, if I convert the type, it's the type which can contain all the errors, or does contain all the possible errors. So that makes sense. Thank you. Okay. And now that works as well. Perfect. I know the return value doesn't matter right now. It's just getting to know error handling, so the return type doesn't matter to me. But in the end, we should actually be able to remove this one, so we have to return a U8 and no errors. We shouldn't cast any errors. The tribe, yeah, for every print statement. I'm not sure I'm gonna catch those because there's so many of them. And it's just the idea of exactly using this catch. But what I wanted to do with this one was the switch, so I could just handle each error differently. Again, just to exercise how to handle errors and what we can do with them. Because some of the errors might be something we can recover from, and some of them maybe not. So maybe actually doing what I did before, the type name of the type of error, just to get the list of all possible errors. Yeah, and we need to make it fail and remember to save. Yeah, so we should, if we do a switch statement, we should handle all of these. And I know if I was in something like IntelliJ, I would make a switch on error, and it would just fill out every possible error in there. And I'm not sure that Visual Studio Code will do that for me. And how do we switch? Oh, okay. So it should actually be able to infer which errors were in there. Yeah, I'm not used to using Visual Studio Code. You could see if there is a code action. And what is a code action in Visual Studio Code? There's nothing called a code action, just... I know I'm being stupid here. But I actually don't know because I'm not used to Visual Studio Code. That's also why I'm running everything from the terminal. I know that you can just set up the build and run scripts. Oh, okay. Code actions are provided by language servers to do things like filling in the variants of the union. Yeah. Something like, no. It just looked like it was kind of this sharing violation. It looked like this was actually what I was looking for, but it just adds the error. On the left, near the line numbers, breakpoints. Yeah, would be easy if you didn't have to write. One could just speak to each other on point, because there's nothing there. Place your cursor on the error in the switch. Yes. And I just get the information about it. And I can't. Yeah, no code actions. Okay. So there would be some possible actions to do there. Yeah, because all I see when I hover is the information about the different yeah. Sadness. Oh, that one. Yeah, I know that one. That's why I keep doing this, because in IntelliJ we have the control dot or control enter, and you get all the code actions that you can do. But yeah, there's nothing here. Maybe I'm missing an extension or something, because I have installed the SIG language, and I'm pretty sure that when I installed that one, it asked if I wanted to install the language server as well. And I just said, yes, of course I want to. And it just installed, but I don't know where to find the information about if I actually installed it. Extensions, features, workbench, nope. But that's okay. Fair enough. Set ls, it should be running. Yeah, if it wasn't running, I wouldn't even have that much code completion, right? Yeah, and it's not an extension as such. The SIG language. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. I wouldn't even get code completion without it. It's just not complete like the rest of SIG. Yeah. Yeah, I already, on my journey to get to this point, I found out that they changed a lot, going from just 0.14 to 0.15 about the I/O and the way you do I/O. So I'm not even sure that the way I get these readers and writers are the right way to do it, because it was, I think I read something about it being in the I/O, or it was in the I/O, and now everything is seen as being files. So that's why I stuck with this one. So I'm pretty sure that it is by design kind of like the Linux operating system, that everything is just files, and that's the idea behind having the readers and writers in files. In the files. Yeah, I hope that my cats aren't bothering you, because he's actually annoying. He's meowing outside because the doors are closed, but I don't think the microphone picks it up. But I can hear it again and again and again and again. So where were we? Did I F something up now? Yeah, I started the switch and I didn't finish it. Perfect, thank you. Thank you so much, and thanks for dropping by, and thanks for all the help. Really much appreciated. I think it'll save me a few hours of work here. So thank you, and have a nice night. Bye. Then let's go and look at switch statements on errors. We can look under errors and switches. Switches, it's using this notation, equals greater than. So we have the error, and we get this huge list. We're just gonna copy that one and take all of these. And it's comma separated. Yes, it is. So if we do like no after the fact, here, I'm just gonna split these up. Can I just do this? Oh. No, I just want. Sounds like Queen. Don't. Come on, stop it. There it is. And then we have an else block just to handle everything else. And then I hope that the editor handles this. No, it doesn't. Oh, that's where IntelliJ really helps. Because in IntelliJ we can actually mark out the end of the lines, and it just follows the indentations or the end of the lines. Damn. Okay. I was hoping for something a little bit easier, but we will just add them ourselves. Oh, whoops. There it is. And it doesn't understand access denied. Use of undeclared identifier. Do we need something like a dot or something? Yeah. And again, it's the error dot. And that's what's also confusing, because we are using this, but we are accessing something inside. Let's do it like, whoa, relax, easy now. There, period. Oh, I missed one. All of them right there. Built. Nope. What are you on about? Found type enumeral literal. Yeah. Yeah, IntelliJ. IntelliJ is JetBrains. Yeah, a company that made a plugin for Visual Studio back in the days and got so popular that it's now they made their own IDE, and it's being used for Kotlin and Java, and they have IDEs for almost all languages you can imagine, but they're quite expensive. They are quite expensive. Yes, exactly. Yeah, PyCharm. They have Writer for C Sharp, and there's yeah, they have it for all kinds of languages. But yeah, also the Python one, PyCharm, Golang, maybe. I've never touched Go, so I can't say yes to that one. Energy Star. Isn't that a BIOS thing from back in the day? I remember a logo when my computer booted up with an Energy Star or something up in the upper right corner. Maybe I'm just remembering things. Energy Standard thing. Okay. So, what is going on here? It found a type of an enum literal. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. So should I switch on the error specific, or should I... Are we back to having something like this? That's what I want to switch on? Nope. Yeah. Long shot. Again, I feel like I'm just trying things out instead of actually understanding them right now. Cut the error. The error can be this, a union of all these different errors, or not a union of them. That is the possible errors that can be handled. But apparently this is not the way to do it. So, what am I missing here? So Energy Star is still a Energy Standard thing, still a company. I wouldn't have thought so. Switch. It doesn't like. Yeah, we're just going back to the error before here. Expected type. Yes, that is this full block. Yes. That is the possible errors, right? Because if I get the type, I get that type, the full error with shared violations and all those. And if I get the name of it, it just writes out the name. But I want to switch on the specific error that is actually happening. But this error is everything. So am I like up here? Should I switch on this? But I just tried that and it didn't like that. But that makes sense because then it's the specific error that's happened. But why won't it? Why doesn't it like that one? Yeah, I'm just I'm fumbling around trying to learn this language. I did code in C and C++ back in the day. Yeah, I'm old as you can see. Back in early 90s, mid 90s. So some of the things are really familiar, but again, it's more than 20 years ago in my brain. But the error handling and allocators, there's so much new stuff. And for the past 20 years, 25 years maybe, I've been playing around with C# mostly. So for 20 years, I've been in C#, object-oriented programming, completely buried in the Microsoft world and .NET. And then 3 years ago, I switched to a new job, and I was exposed to JavaScript, TypeScript, Groovy, a really weird language, Java, and switched to Linux because they use Linux, so I had to use Linux, and I switched at home as well. I had no issues with gaming because I don't play that many massive multiplayer online games with anti-cheat systems that doesn't work on Linux. So most games works on Linux as well. So for the past 3 years, I've been 100% Linux user. But yeah, a lot of new stuff 3 years ago, and now I'm just annoyed with some of the aspects of the newer languages that just doesn't sit well with me. I like optimization. I like having control. So if I allocate some memory, I am in control of that memory. I can use it whatever way I want to. Oh my lord, it started off with good languages, but goddamn, it went downhill after CVP. Yeah, kind of. I see the benefit of some of the languages, but it feels like a lot of things is being obfuscated, so you don't actually understand what's going on. And that's why I like SIG, because everything is so clear that if you are referring to the address of something, you indicate this is the address of this. This is a pointer to this. In some of the newer languages, you just give it a variable to an array of something, but you don't actually know, are you giving me a reference to that object, or are you giving me the object? And if I change it in a function, do I change that new object, or am I actually changing the array in the original array? It's kind of obfuscated. And in C# you can do the by reference, you can add that, but it's not something that's in there by default, and it makes the code, it looks more clean, but I also find it harder to be sure what's actually going on. And in Kotlin, I found it being even more hidden. And there's a lot of simple inline things you can do and stuff. And it makes some of the code more readable. Yes, it does. But lack of control. I like the control. You hate JavaScript. Yeah. JavaScript is not the worst, but that's, of course, opinions. The one I hate the most, and you mentioned PyCharm, so I maybe think that you like Python. I hate Python. The way I write my code shouldn't affect the execution of the code. If I want to write everything in a one-liner, I want to be able to have it in a one-liner. If I want to do a new line wherever, I should just be allowed to do that. And in Python, as I remember it, everything is based on indentations. And I did code in Fortran when I went to university, and that had kind of some of the same things where indentation mattered, and it was also something with if the first character on a line was a specific symbol, it did something else. And I found it really, really, really hard to read compared to just C and C++. No one wants a JavaScript developer anymore. Anyone wants React, Angular. Yeah, exactly. And then we are in the realm of all the new libraries that comes out every other day, and they just build on top of each other, and it becomes, yeah, that's one of the things I hate the most, is when you have a language and you put in some nice libraries, and suddenly you have this weird hidden things that happens, but you don't see it. That's why I like SIG. Nothing is hidden from you. I remember in C# we had some framework where if something ended with I think it was controllers for APIs or something. If the function name end in controller, something happened when you compiled it. It's just like, no. Why? If I want it to be a controller, then I would define it as a controller. I like Python for very, very few simple things that I can't be bothered to compile for. Yeah, I get that. I get that. It feels like it's a good scripting language. Yeah, I agree. I don't like. I like type-safe languages, strongly typed languages. I don't like having a typo and it just doesn't work or something because I made a typo. No, everything should be well defined. And that's why I find Groovy kind of weird, because as I remember, we have Java, nice language, strongly typed, everything works. And somebody thought that, well, maybe we should make it more loosely typed. And they make Groovy on top of Java, and now you could just convert between types without even doing conversions. And I just hated it. And it feels weird that for JavaScript we have TypeScript that makes JavaScript more strongly typed, or yeah. In the end, it's still just JavaScript. We can just use anywhere or everywhere. So yeah, it's strange which languages we like, and I think a lot of it is just which languages we come upon first, and that's kind of the one we fall in love with. For me, I still like assembly language. I haven't used it for many years. When I switched from Commodore 64 to Amiga and been programming in assembler on Commodore 64 and then on Amiga assembler code was just amazing. But then I switched to PC, and again, it was just, wow, I can do stuff and it's fast and everything is good. But then a new processor came out, there were new registers, and I could just optimize my code once again, because now that register and that one was faster than the previous that I used, and I optimized the code. And then a few months later, a new processor came out, and I could do the optimization again and again and again. I could just see this is not the way to go. And that was when I switched to C and C++. Yeah, Bash is just weird. Yeah, I agree, but it's really good. I use it for all the things you probably use your Python for. And nowadays, with all the AI, having it write a Bash script for doing simple manipulation is just so easy that it's part of my everyday work life now. If I need to delete 2 folders and 2 files in all the directories in a directory, I just ask it to make a script to do that and execute some code in each of those folders. It's so simple, and I can't be bothered. It's too easy to just say, make a script, delete this folder, that file, and run this command and that command. And it just makes the script, and I look through the script and I just execute it, and it's done. Instead of having to go through maybe 40 or 50 folders, I don't have to. Yeah, again, there's aspect of AI I really hate, but I can see that if we don't embrace it, we will be left behind. And I think it has its use. It's just where you use it. Use it for writing code and just blindly trusting it, then you're then you are not the most clever person in the world. And it will give you issues, and you will spend so much time finding those errors. And probably errors you don't even able to find because it's so obfuscated, some of the code it creates. But for small things like small helper scripts and so on, absolutely. Boilerplate code, yes, please. So use it or get left behind. So I'm trying to learn more and more about AI. And yes, I do use AI in a learning capacity when learning new stuff. For instance, right now, this issue with the switch statement, I know it's something very simple, like the way I declare this, that is wrong. Maybe it should be in curly brackets or something that I'm not sure of. And if I asked ChatGPT, it would just tell me that, yeah, you need to add a square bracket or something, and it would just work. But I like just pounding my head against an issue like this, just a few times, Google it, try to figure it out, because it activates my brain and I actually try to learn it instead of just getting the answer. Every dumb in stack trace. I can't be bothered to try to figure it. Yeah, exactly. If you have right now I have this error. I would just throw that error into ChatGPT and just say, why isn't this working? And it would tell me. For sure it would. For sure it would. But I guess that will be for next time. I passed the 1 hour I have before starting work, so I will be signing off. Very nice of you to join in. It's been fun having some people in the chat for the first time, so that's very nice. I'm completely new to this, I didn't say it while you were online. So new to the SIG language, new to Visual Studio Code, and absolutely new to Twitch. So all the things about Twitch, followers and all that. Yeah, if you have a question, just ask. Yeah. Do we need to open that can of worms? Yep. Currently, I'm using Cache OS. And Cache OS has been the most wonderful experience as I play games. I started with Arch Linux, a distro called Manjaro, and it gave me so many problems. But again, I was completely new to Linux, so yeah, that wasn't a pleasant experience. Then I switched to Pop OS, and that was just smooth in every way. Everything just worked, and it's still the OS I'm using at work. But now at home, I'm using CashOS because for the first time in my life, I actually spent some money on a graphics card, and PopOS just didn't like it. And I actually tried to get it working, finding new kernels and drivers and getting everything working, and I got it semi-working. There were some glitches in some of the games that made some visual glitches that was just weird. But it worked 99%. But trying to fix that glitch, I actually messed up the OS to a point where I couldn't recover. So I switched to CashOS, as that was mentioned as being the one that was on the forefront of the kernel development, having the new kernels and the new drivers and so on, where PopOS is controlled by or made by, I think it's called System 76, and they have a long release cycle. So I tried to switch to CashOS, and after installing, it recognized my brand new graphics card that had only been out for a couple of months, and everything just worked. So I don't think I'll be switching from CashOS anytime soon. Everything just works. I haven't been needing to find third-party drivers or anything. Everything just worked. The only thing that doesn't work is the anti-cheat system for some of the multiplayer online games, and that's something I have to live with. It's quite annoying. There's a couple of people, some of my friends I would like to play some of these online games with, and that's just not possible because it's been disabled. So I hope that Windows will stop allowing software companies to have access to their kernel, so we can have some anti-cheat system that isn't kernel based, because that would allow all the Linux gamers to just join in the fun of playing. I think PopOS came from Red Hat, which is enterprise focused, and Cashy came from Arch. Cashy is Arch based, yes, but PopOS is from System 76. System 76. Yes. They are the one that made the new PopOS. So they actually released the new version 24.04. So maybe it's possible to use that with my new graphics card, but they are mostly NVIDIA based, as I remember. You have to do some hula hoop jumping around to get it working with the AMD. But I will stick with CashOS for now. Absolutely. It's been joyful to use CashOS compared with the others. Yeah, and the new Steam, what did it call it? Steam box or something? Looks interesting, but again, the price tag compared with the amount I'm playing games, I'm not gonna touch it. I play a little bit of Overwatch. I played a little bit of Dune Awakening, but that just became a grind, so I don't gonna play that anymore. The Steam machine, yes, of course. You get the same update with Cashy. I think SteamOS is the same thing as the base. Yeah, it is. It is. I haven't found that much of a difference between the different Linux distros. There's a lot of the UI, the graphics user interface you select. That is what makes a difference to people. The underlying Linux kernel, not so much, or now I need to be careful, but that's what I feel about it. But yeah, sorry, gotta go. Work needs to be done as well, so I have to get ready for work in 20 minutes. So I will stop the stream for now. And again, thank you for joining in. I will see if I can find the OBS here and say thanks. And as always, this will be uploaded to YouTube, and you're welcome to comment and have fun on my expense. If you want to laugh at all my errors and stupidity, that's okay. Do it, have fun, and hopefully somebody will learn that learning a new thing, being it languages or whatever, it takes time and it's okay. And don't compare you to the rest of the world, compare you to yourself. That's all for now. Have fun and enjoy. Bye.